Jean Greer here at Stylish Fireplaces. How efficient are Dimplex electric fireplaces? Dimplex is one of our leading brands of electric fireplaces in the industry, and they've been around longer, decades longer than all of our other manufacturers of electric fireplaces. So they've had a lot of time to work on the efficiency of their electric fireplaces. The company has been built on the values of quality and sustainability, so clearly efficiency would become a priority for them. First of all electric fireplaces are inherently efficient because the heaters are separate from the flames. I can have the flames on my electric fireplace without running the heater, and if I do run the heater, it's an appropriate amount of heat for the space that I'm in. It will not overheat me, and that makes them ideal for zone heating, where I can just warm up the space that I'm using in my home and not heat up the rest of the house. And that applies to all electric fireplaces simply because the heat output is separate from the flame control. What makes Dimplex even more efficient than many of their competitors are some of their innovations. So things like their Comfort Saver ceramic heaters in many of their fireplaces. These use 11% less energy than the leading quartz heaters. And what makes them unique is the way that the fan can modulate, so the fan can get more or less volume of heat out to regulate the temperature gap. So if I've set my thermostat on my electric fireplace at 70 degrees and the room isn't at 70 degrees, the fireplace will sense the room temperature and then it will push out more heat and more fan to bridge that gap until it can make that temperature effective in the room. So the ability to be able to do that modulation is something that has been built into many of the Dimplex electric fireplaces, and that's not always the case with an electric, where the fan might be consistent and it just keeps working at that same rate until the room temperature has been reached. Other things that Dimplex builds into many of their electric fireplaces, things like thermostats, so I always have thermostat control of the heater so I can set the temperature I want and it will work to get me to that temperature. Functions like heat boost, where we have a timed feature with maximum heat, maximum fan to get us up to temperature quickly, or eco, which pulls back the fan speed and the heater to slowly and steadily get us to the room temperature without using as much energy. Those are inherent features on many Dimplex electric fireplaces. They also have many dual voltage models, and dual voltage means I can connect to 120 volts or 240 volts. If I want more heat output from my heater, I would connect to 240 volts. If I only need to heat up to 400 square feet, for instance, I would leave it at 120 volts. So having the ability to choose how much heat output I could have on my Dimplex fireplace is definitely an efficiency feature. They also have things like heat lock, so a temporary setting that allows me to lock the heat feature so that somebody cannot accidentally turn it on when I don't want it on. And then heat disable would allow me to permanently disable the heater in certain situations where I don't need the heat and I don't want anyone to be using the heater. I can disable that permanently on many, if not all, Dimplex fireplaces. And then, of course, sleep timers on Dimplex fireplaces would allow me to set the timer to turn off the entire fireplace if somebody in the room forgets to do that. Those are all functions that you'll find on many Dimplex electric fireplaces that make them super efficient. So in answer to how efficient are Dimplex electric fireplaces, they are some of the most efficient electric fireplaces in the industry. You can read more about that on our stylish blog at stylishfireplaces.ca.